Morning all, how the devil is everyone? I'm having a bad day. The kettle broke and my mother-in-law bought me a fancy one. That was good of her, you would think. The downside being, I assume boiling water at a sort of finite maximum temperature. I'm sure I did learn that when I was in school, but for some reason this fancy glow-in-the-dark chrome monstrosity she bought me appears to boil water to the temperature far beyond boiling point. And the moment I touched a fucking cup of tea to my lips today, basically fucking blew them off. It was like trying to drink white phosphorus. I don't fucking get it. And I put a dash of milk in, but it did blow my fucking face off. So I've got a blistered tongue. I'm not in a good mood. And then this fucking nonsense shows up on my feed. Holy fucking shit. I know you guys are well aware that what I do is, through the week when I'm working and I haven't really got time to devote to a proper long video, I check the BBC every morning, and if I see anything hilarious, like why can't we talk about menstruation? You know, one of those really pioneering BBC stories, or I've got the world's first threesomes PhD. It's pioneering stuff. Should gay men and lesbians be bracketed together? Rather than answer the question, let's just say, who gives a flying fuck? What about that? We just leave people alone, let them fuck whoever they want, and don't bore me with this type of shit on a news website. Anyway, no, today is much more serious, because today I didn't feel as if I could save this for the weekend. I felt like this was so fucking outrageous and egregious. It's not funny. It's not worthy of my good-humoured weekend news roundup because it's just disgraceful, despicable, dog shit. Other words beginning with D. Digital diarrhea. There's loads of them. That's what it is. But this is absolute madness. It's insanity. Even my cynicism. Like, I stopped paying my TV licence about, 8 years ago? I've told you guys this before. Because about 8 years ago, I lost my patience with the BBC. I realised it was going nuts. I was quite prescient, and I realised it was going downhill. But never in my wildest dreams did I realise it'd go downhill as fast as it did. Like, I think after Brexit and Trump, those two events just sent them into overdrive. And they went from being partisan to being utterly fucking insane, batshit crazy. The Batshit Broadcasting Corporation. They're mental. Mental. And this can't go in my news roundup for the weekend because I try to be good-humoured. We all need a chuckle in this day and age. But this is just outrageous. Outrageous. And I'm going to read you it. Because what they're doing here is essentially using sophistry, word soups, and using mental gymnastics that beg a belief. Gymnastics. Simone Biles has got fuck all on these cunts. And she's a professional gymnast. It's mental. Now let's read it, shall we? Let's read it and prepare to be astounded. For those of you that don't know and have been lucky enough to never deploy to that fucking dust bowl. They call it the graveyard of empires. It's the graveyard of fucking morale, because it's just a shithole. It's just sand, goats, and misery in Afghanistan. No wonder the poor bastards want to go to fucking England. A lot of people don't know that, but seriously, like Iraq, compared to Afghanistan, Iraq was nice. Like, Iraq actually was a developed country. People, we never think of it that way. We think of it as a total shithole, but it's not. Like, when Saddam was in charge, they had revenue coming in, they had money, they had infrastructure. You know, you go around Baghdad, well, other than the shit we've bombed the fuck out of, but it was actually quite nice. You go to Afghanistan, fucking dust bowl. It is just the armpit of the fucking world. But there's a practice out there called Bacha Bazi, and I'm not exaggerating to say it literally is raping kids. Like, that's what it is. There was a famous case out here in the States. They knew it went on, and yet the military were always taught to turn a blind eye to it. It says, this is from 2015, as the practice in Afghanistan of Bacha Bazi, a term that literally translates to boy play, is taking a toll on the conscience of American soldiers. who, according to a New York Times investigation published Sunday, have been told to ignore sexual abuse even when it occurs on military outposts there. Basically, because it's a backwoods fucking country living in the Middle Ages, that type of shit goes down and it upsets military veterans. Understandable. But the BBC, when I didn't think they could get any lower, has took the fucking cake. They have took more cake than Diane Abbott in a fucking Battenberg factory. And she puts all her cake on her fucking expenses, so you can imagine how much how many Battenberg crumbs you'd have to dust off her fat, disgusting fingers, her sausage fucking roll-esque digits if she got taxpayer-funded access to the Battenberg factory run by Mr. Kipling. It's astounding. Astounding. The mental gymnastics they play to make this somehow sound acceptable. People like me have long noticed this trend. Like, it is mental how if you say something even remotely, in fact, let's not even say something. If you own a business and you don't want to bake a gay cake because it's against your religious faith, they will slam you as a monster. They'll call you a fucking scum. You are worthless. You are lower than a snake's arsehole. You are fucking filth. How dare you have religious convictions? Again, you lads know I'm not against the LGBT community. I'm cool with gay marriage. I'm not a religious man. But I can respect that some people are, and I can respect their opinion. Everyone should be allowed to disagree. This is my problem. This is why they call me right-wing, because I'm an old-school libertarian. I'm a liberal. If you're a little bit homophobic, old man in the pub, that's fine with me. Do what you like. As long as you're not out preaching hate and murder, the world's big enough for us all. That's my opinion, and apparently that's controversial in this day and age. But if you're like a baker that doesn't want to bake a gay cake, they'll slam you as a monster. Unless you've got a tan, which I've said before. It's weird how they're going about the Germans and the Nazis all the time, but they never talk about the Japanese Empire and the rape of Nanking and the butchery and slaughter and torture they took part in, just because they aren't white people. That's literally all it is. And the BBC takes that fucking principle to the moon with this fucking story, because as soon as anything to do with the raping of children happens, as the grooming gang scandal showed, by people that aren't white, they're happy to do whatever they can to dress it up, to use whatever slippery language they can to make it sound acceptable. Like, it beggars fucking belief. So let's get into it. Bacha Bazi outrage after pandemic takes play to the small screen. When it comes to theatre and filmmaking in the West, portrayals of Afghanistan often don't go beyond women in blue burqas and men carrying AK-47s. Bastards. But in 2017, two Americans created something unconventional. Lyricist Charlie Sohn and composer Tim Rosser created a musical about a subject even Afghans consider too sensitive and unsettling, Bacha Bazi, or boy play. Fucking boy play. Bumming kids. How about that? Boy bumming. Bacha Bazi is a practice whereby wealthy, powerful older men buy and keep adolescent boys, known as dancing boys, for entertainment and sex. The boys are trained to dance seductively at male-only parties and often sexually abused. Well, I'll stop you there, lads. I'll stop you there again. Whoa, hang on. By definition, right, again, shouldn't be down to me to tell you fucking journalists this. By definition, boys can't consent because they're too fucking young. So don't tell me that wealthy, powerful, older men buy and keep adolescent boys for entertainment and sex. I just dropped that in there. Oh, and sex. No. They fuck all of them. They all get bummed. It's not like it's a minority. 99% of them just do a bit of dancing, and then 1% of them get fisted by a 50-year-old beardy fucking tribesman. It's all of them. So they're not often sexually abused. Every single one of them gets raped. That's what happens, BBC. They get raped, little kids. Don't tell me. They do dance seductively because they're trained to do that. It's fine. They're trained. Oh, yeah, sometimes sexually abused. No, little boys get raped. Yeah, glad we cleared that up. Moving on. The boy who danced on air told a love story between a 16-year-old boy, Pie Man. Fucking Pie Man. I know a bloke in Middlesbrough called Pie Man. And it's because he eats a lot of meat pies and he's not very svelte. And another young boy caught in the same Bacha Bazi practice. The musical mostly made a good impression on theatre critics. Fucking hell. It was called Courageous, Thoughtful and Beautiful. One review in the New York Times called the subject troubling and said Son and Rosser had taken the challenge of difficult source material too far. Just like slippery, just anything they can to make it sound good. Courageous, thoughtful and beautiful. Oh, nice. It's like we're talking about fucking flower pressing. Jesus Christ. Fast forward to 2020, after the coronavirus pandemic forced theatres to close and The Boy Who Danced on Air joined many other productions online streaming services instead. But unexpectedly, unexpectedly, I'll tell you what, when I found out the general public didn't want to watch little boys getting bummed senseless by greasy old men, I'll tell you what, I couldn't believe it. I just thought, absolute Philistines. Christ. Unexpectedly, the move provoked a wave of outrage and criticism from Afghans living around the world, who, learning of the music for the first time, accused it of romanticising child sexual abuse. Oh, how dare they? They're just accusing it. Probably not true. Fucking hell. Romanticising child sexual abuse and child rape. The funniest part is, this is Afghans, apparently, poor old Afghans from a backwards part of the world. They're the ones having to stand up and say, whoa, hang on, lads. This is romanticising child rape, because no fucker at the BBC will do it. They won't criticise it, and the government won't criticise it. Nobody in the Western world will criticise it, because brown people are doing it. So they'll go, don't see that. Or, even worse, the bigotry of low expectations. They say things like, yeah, well, we might find it a bit weird, but I'm sure it's normal to those, they're not quite as advanced as we are. Fuck off. Me, I don't practice racism. I give everyone the same fucking treatment. I think everyone should be held at the same standards as me. I think all humans are capable of learning and having empathy and compassion and common sense and decency. So I don't think we should fucking brush it under the table. I think we should say, what are you doing, you filthy, foul-smelling, pot-bellied fucking savage? That's what I think we should do, because I'm fucking liberal. Medina Wardak, an Afghan clinical social worker based in the US, said she watched 40 minutes of the musical and had to turn it off. No shit, because there's little kids getting fisted by old men. I'm with you, Medina, I'm with you. It takes an Afghan social worker to fucking drop these truth bombs on the Western world. I felt uncomfortable, misunderstood, frantic and anxious all at the same time, she said. I cringed every time they tried to be believable, and every time the audience had a laugh at the expense of Afghan pain. The show's faced criticism for promoting Bacha Bazi as a tradition that is accepted in Afghanistan. Oh, yeah, okay, so it isn't then. You guys, no, it's not accepted. No, it just goes on absolutely everywhere. To have another piece of art focused on Afghanistan completely through the white lens shook up our community. As the criticism spread on social media, Troy Otawa, a Japanese-American actor who plays Pie Man in the musical, posted an apology on his Instagram account. He said, a while ago I did a show where I played someone of Afghan descent, which I am not. It romanticised sexual assault and misconstrued an entire culture and its people. I am so sorry. Despite it being illegal under Afghan law, authorities are unable to end the practice because many of those involved are influential men. To these men, keeping a Bacha Bazi or boy without a beard is a sign of power and high social status. In the 90s, it was outlawed by the Taliban, with sodomy, dancing and music carrying the death penalty, although the militant group have been accused of participating in the practice themselves. The lack of Afghans or their input in the production of The Boy Who Danced on Air was another reason the musical came under fire, although that's what we're fucking worrying about, eh? Not enough representation for Afghans, that's what we're worried about. We can live with the bumming, but we're just pissed off that we're picking on, that we're culturally appropriating it. You can't make this shit up. Had Charlie and Tim centred Afghan voices during the process, they would have been more cautious and thoughtful. But alas, Afghanistan was just a tool in their story. The writers poured gasoline and lit a match on many of the wounds we are working hard to heal. The Afghan LGBTQ community in particular have expressed discontent. Yeah, well, you know what? I think they should consider themselves lucky, because we know how they were treated before the coalition of the willing showed up, don't we? Christ almighty. Dr. Mun Zahim, a queer Afghan scholar, fucking hell, you didn't get that many of them a few years back, did you? Said, the music was not only an Orientalist depiction of Afghans as a whole, but it's painfully damaging to queer and trans Afghans. Not as damaging as flinging them off a roof. You're fucking welcome. The music wrongfully associates paedophilia with queerness. Since the early days of the US military intervention, from occupying forces to foreign journalists, travel bloggers and researchers have attempted to associate Bacha Bazi with Afghan queerness, damaging their liberation in Afghanistan and its diasporas. The queer and trans Afghans are tired of the white gaze into their lives. Well, they probably weren't tired when we were stopping the Taliban from shooting them in the face during my 2 deployments. But what the fuck do I know, eh? When the show moved to online streaming, it became accessible to people around the world, and according to Wazina Zondon, a queer sexuality educator, how is that a fucking job? That's like, we just invent them now, don't we? Just invent shit jobs. A normal teacher, a maths teacher, can do that fucking job. Just tell the kids, alright kids, yeah, be nice to people, yeah, cheers. Done. You don't need to have a specialist subject like it's fucking Mastermind. Can you imagine? They'll probably start that on Mastermind more soon. And what's your specialist subject? Fisting sailors. I know all about fisting sailors. Ask me anything. Fuck me. And that's a non-job. So a non-job, according to a non-job, it triggered discussions of rape and child sexual assault that span across sexual and gender identity. I have heard many allies, blah, blah. Listen, you know what? I've had enough. Just word soup. The same shit dictionary they all use. I've told you guys about, anyone who listens to me, you know I've said it. They all talk the same, they use the same buzzwords. They all talk about experiences and my existence, deny my existence, and fucking heteronormative and cis het fucking LGBTQIZ plus bollocks. Erases, dismisses, fucking word soup. This whole story, I will put it in the links for you to read yourself. It takes the piss from start to finish. It pulls my pisser clean off at the fucking stump, and then throws it in the fucking waste disposal. What a pile of absolute shit. These people are just brainwashed, far left postmodernist zombies. They get the same books to read in their little brainwashing universities. They get the same fucking drivel, demonstrably incorrect, postmodernist, deconstructionist fucking drivel. Anyone with an IQ above 90 knows is just farcical from start to finish. They won't say the obvious when it's clearly a common practice, but they'll deny all knowledge of that, while somehow simultaneously bending themselves in knots to make it sound as if it's actually far more acceptable if you're using it as a wider criticism of Afghans themselves. It's just nonsense. And I thought I'd quickly cover it because it is a new fucking law from the oxygen thieves and taxpayer-funded thieves of the BBC. Nothing they write. It's either comedy gold, like all the stuff I cover on a weekend, or just offensive to anybody with the ability to read. What a pile of fucking shit that was. So yeah, cheers, Sobaba Hadair from BBC News. You disgust me. I'm just waiting for them to write a piece on the an apologetics piece on the rape of Nanking. I want to know how they're going to approach that subject, whereby people that aren't white did monstrous things. I want to know how they're going to dress it up. They will, because, you know, postmodernists just create reality, create their own reality. So they're going to be like, oh, no, they don't call it the rape of Nanking because they did any raping. No, they call it that because the cis white het patriarchy in Europe, they just put that term on it to make it sound worse. What really was happening was they were teaching, they got all of the Chinese and they read them The Very Angry Ladybird and The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and then they give them all milk and cookies and everyone had a nap, and that was the end of it. They slept the war out. And yeah, it's just all Western lies, cis-het, patriarchal scum. Yeah, cheers. Fucking, honestly, have a read. I'll put the link in the description. Knock yourselves out. It certainly knocked me out. Christ almighty. Right, just a quick one, folks. I'll see you guys soon. Oh yeah, if you're a serving bootneck, get this hoofing shirt. Good, innit? I'm branching out from angry bootneck merch to all bootneck merch because, well, it's better than any of the shit you can buy online. Have a look, knock yourselves out. Thanks for watching. Cheers.